cares? He doesn't care about you. Can't you see that he doesn't love you? The fool is just killing time with you.
Oh no, Nsama. I will not have you insult my husband in his house. No.
This guy is not good enough for you. I mean, why should you care when he's out there jumping up and down with every woman he sees?
Am I allowed to ask questions with you? Hold on. Why are you so eager about whistling in the dark that our father was murdered?
Yes, because he was. He was murdered. I mean, he was foaming when he died. What you call the tower boy?
I foam in my mouth when I sleep. Does that mean I'm poisoned?
Oh, Chikondi, stop being stupid. We are not in the mood for your rubbish right now.
And the black sheep speaks.
Don't call me that.
If I tell you what to do, are you going to do it? Oh, I'm there for you. Tell him I love you.
I'm going to say more people to her. No, me.
Natika itana mose. Itazipaya. That's what I'm going to. Okay.
Don't be stupid. Huh? You think I'm foolish? Huh? You want to play with me? You don't know me, I can be as cunning as a crocodile. Huh? Where? Huh? You don't want to kill me?
Outside. And outside we shall be singing goodbye, hi dear CJ. We shall never forget you. Oh, away, we shall never forget you.
Mafuta hiyo wanasha
uyu kambio chichi nduja kutia kunda manini ya shari so ili
waiona pale.
I didn't expect the overwhelming response. You know, I was in Chingola performing with the fantasy band, and I saw the video on TV on television. I was like, what? The next time I'm coming out, Sister D. I was like, how do I manage? Wow. You know, you get on a bus. I mean, we're using a bus. The conductor is busy calling people. Hey, Ngenani, your Sister D, are in bus. How am I going to handle this? Wow. You know.
So I'm your host, Isaac Chipotanga. What a fantastic 24 hours it has been at the World Cup, because in the battle of the European heavyweights, it was the European champions, Spain, who punched their ticket to the final of the 2026 FIFA World Cup at the expense of Le Bleu. The French national team there succumbing to the French in that entertaining one-sided affair that ended 2-0 in favor of La Roja. But also on the program, we'll be building up to another entertaining football match. It promises to have so many thrills and spills across the 90 minutes and potentially go even the distance of 120 minutes and possibly even penalties, as a historical outing in as far as the FIFA World Cup comes to the fore. Argentina lock horns with England. Everybody talks about the hand of God and, of course, the goal of the century. That is just part and parcel of an illustrious history between these two sides that have already won the World Cup a record 4 times between themselves. Of course, England, the last time winning it in 1966, while of course the Argentines are the defending champions, having, tasted success in 2022. They are the reigning champions, but also victorious in 1986 and of course 1978. That's what makes up our program on today's edition of Beyond the Whistle. We'll be also looking in depth at our topic of discussion, which is FIFA prioritizing money over football? This comes in the wake of FIFA introducing what we're calling a prolonged halftime break. We're told that it's going to last 25 minutes, the halftime break for the final on Sunday, as Spain await whoever is going to join them in that, title deciding match between Argentina and of course England. So stay with us for the duration of this 60 minutes as we take you into the world of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. To unpack and of course analyze everything, I'm joined by 2 gentlemen. Let me begin on my immediate left, a man who's represented Zambia at 4 Africa Cup of Nations, played across the breadth of some of the biggest teams in the Zambian scene, but also plied his trade in Israel. And of course, this is none other is Pongaliwewe, 40 years in football, the man who is refusing to say that he's the old man of Zambian football at the tender age of 59, about to turn 60. Ponga, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure always.
You still feel young?
Yeah. Don't look at the grey hair.
I was about to say that.
How you feeling?
I was about to say that the grey hair is looking like the same with your shirt that you're wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so basically these 2 gentlemen are going to help me analyze and look back what transpired yesterday at the FIFA World Cup. Let's begin there. And let me get to you, Ponga. Your overall impression of how Spain dealt with France in that first semi-final of this World Cup.
Yeah, I think Spain showed that football is a team game because they played as one unit. It was almost like the individual parts were not there. It was all one unit moving, working together. The understanding is exceptional. And I think that was the difference between the 2 sides. If you looked at individually, I think France had the bigger individuals, but the sum of what Spain put together overcame the advantage that France had from their individuality. I think that was the difference between the 2 sides.
If you look at the coach De La Fuente, not afraid, the Spanish coach, to make the changes yesterday, once again going with Ruiz in that midfield and of course benching one of the mainstays in as far as the Spanish side is concerned, Pedri, sitting on the bench but came on a little bit later on. What do you make of his performance so far from a tactical perspective?
Yeah, I think yesterday just proved that De La Fuente knows what he's doing. And we've been saying that Spain from the beginning of the tournament haven't been really convincing. Their performances have been up and down, but you can see after yesterday's performance that they were trying to see something. The coach is trying something, and eventually it really worked out. And for me, it was like the best performance of Spain in this campaign.
Okay. Well, we're going to go into detail in terms of statistics at this particular World Cup in this match. But first and foremost, let me get your thoughts, Ponga, on the post-match comments of the French coach Didier Deschamps yesterday in the immediate aftermath of that particular encounter and loss to the French. He's quoted as saying the referee was not qualified to handle this particular match. Is it a case of Didier Deschamps, being a sore loser, or his team were just literally outplayed in the match yesterday?
Yeah, personally, I didn't see anything wrong with the refereeing yesterday, so I'm not sure what specifically he's referring to. And I don't know if he specifically mentioned what points he was.
Of course, he mentioned in particular the penalty. He thought that it wasn't a penalty, and Lamine, played to the gallery in that instance. What are your thoughts on that penalty? The opening, what led to the opening goal of the game?
No, I think it was a penalty.
Yeah.
Kicking a player like that, whether it's intentional or unintentional, is a penalty. Is a penalty, and it was a penalty.
He's talking about him being in close proximity with the 4th official on the touchline, and apparently the 4th official was sitting on the fence regarding that particular, incident.
It's never the fourth official's decision whether it's a penalty or not. So I don't even know why he was having that debate with him.
It's probably clutching at straws, trying to find an excuse. Coach William, I want to ask you and draw your attention to another incident. The French coach Didier Deschamps is talking about the referee and the questionable, decisions he might have made. But if you look at the tackle that, Michael Olise had on Rodri in the early, moments of this particular encounter, and you'll be able to see it on the screen. For me, was the referee really biased? Because many would have said this is a red card offense.
No, this challenge, when you look at it, and I'm sure these are images that also VAR picked. And if VAR picked these images and they did not get a red, you cannot say the referee was biased. Yeah. And I think Deschamps should, go into the penalty that the Digne conceded.
Yeah.
As a technical person, as a technical person, we should always point out these things even to our players.
Yeah.
And to say it was not is to tell the player that they can do it again.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing the show supposed to do is accept that they lost the game.
Yeah.
The truth is that yesterday the best team won, and Spain showed their superiority. Spain showed their, showed that they wanted more than France. France, they are very bad, I think, for the first time in this campaign. They are very bad in every defensively, offensively. Their star players did not show up.
Yeah.
I think as a technical person, they are supposed to blame themselves, just like what Mbappe said. We were not a team that even deserved to play the semi. That's what Mbappe said of the post-match interview.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he took the responsibility for the team. They were not a team that deserved even to play the semi-finals yesterday.
Let's look at that image again of Olise's tackle on Rodri, because Ponga, I want to draw your attention to the left top corner. It's 14 minutes 23 seconds in the early moments of this particular encounter. If he was given a red card, wouldn't that made the the task for France even much greater, and probably would have had an even greater loss than the 2-0 that they suffered yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely, what one would call a red card offense for that tackle.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the damage wasn't even worse than it was, because that has a potential to break an ankle.
And just calling into question, because one of the major issues at this particular World Cup has been the questionable standards in terms of refereeing, or should I say, the consistency about, the use of VAR. VAR didn't even look at that. No yellow card for that offense. Is that something that has concerned you throughout the tournament?
I think VAR has always got its protractors and people who advocate for it. But I think it's better having VAR than not having VAR, because it picks up a lot of things that we wouldn't normally have seen and would have let go. So I think it's very, very valuable. I just think what has to be decided on is what extent does VAR come into, what events is it brought into for, and then at what stage do you make decisions on what aspects of the game?
Okay.
Because sometimes it's not brought in, and yet you see tackles like that.
Yeah.
You wonder why was it never an issue on VAR when they have the facilities to relook at these events.
Okay, after all is said and done, it was the Spanish side that were utterly dominant, and we'll be able to show you a few results, including yesterday's results are on the screen in a moment or two. But Coach William, when you look at the results from the previous encounters, you quickly notice that the overall statistics going into yesterday's game was that Spain had won 8 matches from the 10, only 1 win for France in the last 10 meetings between the two sides, and a further draw. But if you look at the last 3 results, resounding victories for Spain, in a way, should we have expected a Spanish victory in this regard?
I wouldn't say that the Spanish victory was imminent, because the past results usually they don't, they don't really play that they can play that psychological part in terms of, how players think and how confident they feel when they play these teams, So I think, Spain, I'm sure, if they've won 3 games previously, it only tells you that Spain knows how to play against France, and they know how to, they know how to come tactically against France. So I think, Spain, with the past results, you can say that they deserve to win because of yesterday's performance, not really because of the past results. So, I think they just figured out how to beat France.
Okay. Well, one thing that I noticed yesterday was the fact that Coach Luis de la Fuente is not scared to put on teenagers. And if you look at the statistics from yesterday, Ponga, the fact that he had 2 teenagers in Lamine Yamal and Pau Cubarsí, both on the books of Barcelona, starting again for the first time in the history of the World Cup in a semi-final. What does that tell us about the level of confidence that he has, despite the tender age of his squad?
Yeah, I think he probably looks at the quality and what each player brings to the table, because Cubarsí at the back with Laporte were solid in the central part of the defense, and he justified his place in the team. Lamine Yamal as well, after being out just before the World Cup, showed yesterday that he was finally getting back to his best and justified his selection. So I think they were both justified selections based on current form and ability of the players.
And if you look at the record of the Spanish coach De La Fuente in terms of major competitions, unbeaten at European, Euros and of course at the FIFA World Cup.
You consistency with the results and you don't lose a game. So I think he's just found himself with a group of players that I think they can rebuild the players like Iniesta, Xavi, this kind of Spain. I think he can do that. And, even coming to him playing younger players, remember De La Fuente is coming from the junior team.
Yeah.
He was, I think he was Spain's under 20 national team coach.
Yeah.
So he's a coach that, believes, like Ponga said, he's a coach that believes in the ability and what the player brings on the table on that particular game. So, and for me, a coach that wants success should be brave enough to be able to put a player, regardless of age, but the ability is the one that should put the player in the first, like in certain lineup, and also the plan that you have for that particular game is what gives the coach.
Spanish side have gone without defeat in 90 minutes. They've only lost once, and that was in extra time since 2022. That tells us something about the winning mentality. How much is that a confidence booster, considering?
A reflection of the consistency in the team, that they come out match after match and yet are able to hold their own irrespective of the opponents. Shows that they're consistently well selected. They play to the same tune. They're all on the same wavelength. And that's a
with clean sheet after clean sheet at this particular tournament. You can clearly see there amongst the goalkeepers at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, head and shoulders above the Colombian, Mexican, and of course French goalkeepers. Only allowed 1 goal. How important is Unai Simon to the cause of this Spanish side in this quest to win the World Cup, William?
Yeah, I think Unai has been great, and he's always been there. And for me, I was even surprised that a goalkeeper that won the Premier League and also the Golden Glove in the Premier League couldn't even command the first choice.
And the Barcelona goalkeeper won.
First choice position, but you now were able to tell why there's so much belief from the coach for Unai Simon, because for me, he's been fantastic. He's been, of course, Spain a team that are like 11 players that defend together, So I think Unai also is just doing his job, standing there between the sticks, but you know he's been really good.
Okay, and when you talk about, you know, Ponga sweeper keepers, yesterday there were maybe 2 or 3 occasions where the French looked like they can get behind that defense of the Spanish, but he was on his toes, and he's crucial in terms of how they play the Spanish
He's
side.
very, very quick to make a decision that he's coming out, and he came out. I remember once when Mbappe was almost through, and he beat him to the ball, and the keeper saved it, Simon. So I think the modern goalkeeper today plays also the sweeper role. So it's very critical that he has those abilities to make the right judgment, because if you make a wrong judgment, it's easy for a player to get past you and slot the ball into an empty net. So the timing has to be 100% perfect. And we saw that yesterday, that was the case.
We focus so much on the Spanish, performance yesterday. Let's just look around at probably 1 or 2 areas that might have affected the French performance yesterday. William Saliba, let me come to you, Ponga, before, you know, William weighs in about the injury that Saliba faced, or unfortunately suffered, let's put it that way, in this particular regard. How much did this injury impact Didier Deschamps' tactical game plan in this particular encounter?
Yeah, I think he's his first choice centre-back. So the fact that he had to come off would obviously be something negative for the French side. And unfortunately, when you're injured, there's nothing you can do. You simply have to come off. So he did come off, and you know, you can't say whether it would have made a difference or not, but the fact that your best centre-back is coming off in a semi-final of the World Cup is definitely a disadvantage for the French.
Okay, and you know William Saliba quite well, because you've got a soft spot for a team in North London. We're not going to mention the team, but I'm going to ask you about William Saliba from this perspective. When he gets substituted, apart from him being a quality midfielder, what other attributes did the French miss when he got substituted? Obviously, it being an enforced substitution.
Yeah, I think, you know, he brings the calmness in the French defense. He's one player that, you know, he has a lot of composure. He's very good in 1v1s, but most of all, you know, in the build-ups, is one that the French team use the most in when, you know, they're trying to build from the back. And I think they lost this part of the game. I would say Spain were good in terms of the high pressing and these things, but you know, when you have a player like William Saliba, that, you know, no matter the pressure, he keeps his calm, and I think they lost it, and you could see the jittery behind when he was off the game. You could see that the French team, you know, suffered in terms of how to build from the back. They lost. Made a lot of errors, and then I think the Spaniards capitalized on that. So, yeah, his substitute for me, him getting injured, also played a small part, clearly, because, you know, he's a player that has been playing for France since the tournament started, and, you know, in the end, in the semi-finals, to make that change and to bring in a new centre back that has not, you know, really played with the other one. You know, you get this kind of problems.
We were told before the match started that William Saliba in the earlier rounds, especially when they played against Norway, of course, we know that top spot, whoever won that particular match between them and Norway would top the group. But both of them had 6 points and had already guaranteed qualification. We saw Saliba start on the bench because the coach said he wasn't 100%. To a large extent, do you think that maybe Saliba was rushed back into the French side? And to a large extent, we talk about this French squad having a lot of depth from an attacking perspective. But does this show that probably defensively they don't have that quality that they can call upon off the bench?
Yeah, I think they have the quality. But, you know, these positions, the defensive positions are very critical.
Yeah.
In football, we all know that goalkeeping, centre backs, these positions are very critical. You don't usually change them just anyhow, because if you have 2 centre backs that you know, have a good chemistry together, and you have a goalkeeper, like in modern football, is exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for 2 good centre backs that have good chemistry, but also, you know, they're able to play out from the back. So the fact that you know, they have depth in front, and you're saying maybe they don't have quality, I wouldn't say that they don't have quality. I would say that I think each coach, especially at the level like the World Cup, would not want to make changes just anyhow in centre back positions, and this is a semi-final, and not going to make the difference if Saliba did not play and France are out.
Yeah.
So I think you can make this kind of risk in this kind of games.
Okay. As we wrap up our review of what yesterday, probably time just to look at the official statistics between Spain and France yesterday that came out of that first semi-final at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Ponga, I'm going to ask your interpretation of these particular statistics, especially when you look at the number of shots that this Spanish side had in terms of statistics in comparison to, the French side, because only 2 shots on target in terms of the overall statistics. And those 2 shots ended up being goals from a Spanish perspective. What does that tell us about how clinical this Spanish side is?
I think it was very critical because this is a World Cup semi-final, and when you get your chances, you have to utilize them. And that was clearly the case in this semi-final. 2 shots on target, 2 goals. Shows you that you can't afford to depend on strikers who have 10 shots and then maybe only score 1 or 2. You need guys who are clinical up front and who take the chances when they come. They are few and far between at this level, and when they come, you have to utilize them. This is what is reflected by Spain's performance in front of goal.
Okay, it's coincided to the history books. We have now a total of 294 goals that have been scored in 101 matches. Going to take a short break. On the other side of that break, we'll be talking about match number 102, plus, of course, our topic of discussion, where we're asking, is FIFA prioritizing money over football?
Fabulous Engineering Limited, Zambia's largest and the most advanced engineering company. We have the following products: hydraulic pipe fitting, roller shutter doors, farming equipment, mining equipment, plasma cutting, surface grinders, shaving machines, spiral ducting pipes, rolling machines, flat bending machines. We install industrial plants and carry out all type of turning, machining, fabrication and engineering works. We also manufacture different sizes of locally made fabulous pots. For more details, visit our website 7204 Kachiza Road behind Migma, PO Box 38005, Lusaka, Zambia, or call us on +2609555 764011 or +2609796 98382 or +2609690 64419. Fabulous Engineering Limited, Zambia's largest and the most advanced engineering company.
UTBM University, the prime institution for lifelong learning. Enroll your university education now. Call 0978-430872, 0977-766866. Email utbmuniversity@gmail.com or simply log to www.utbmuniversity.org.
When it comes to building, the biggest worry for people is, are they going to find the right products? Are they going to find good quality? Are they going to find long-lasting products? Here at Gemis Enterprises Limited, we deal in interior construction. which includes ceiling boards, tiling, painting, and we end it with the kitchen and the wardrobe. We are found in Light Industrial Area off Lumumba Road behind Micma. Our Facebook page is Gamies Home Recreation, and you can call me on 0966 30 98 33.
Thank you very much for staying with us on Beyond the Whistle. It is on channel 114 on your Top Star bouquet. And of course, we're also on Facebook, on our Facebook page, which is BMTV Zambia channel 114. Thank you very much for staying with us. And our topic of discussion is FIFA prioritizing money over football. Let me come to you, Ponga. Use your wise head and experience. When you look at the halftime show, which now has been confirmed by FIFA, as you can see in a moment or two on our screens, that we're going to have now 25 minutes, 11 minutes in terms of the actual concert. And of course, we've got a further 15 minutes, the usual break. So players are going to be in the dressing room for 25 minutes. What was your initial thought when you heard about this latest development?
Yeah, as usual, the first thing that came to mind was the fact that the money was talking once again.
Yeah.
In a football environment, and you wonder if that is really the way that at World Cup level or at world football level, is that the route that we really want to take?
Yeah.
Because it's now prioritizing revenue over certain issues of the players, because 25 minutes in the dressing room, I'm sure William will agree, is a long time to be out of the pitch at a halftime break when the players come back. Are they going to use part of that time in the dressing room to do a bit of stretching and exercises to keep warm and avoid losing their momentum? You know, all those things come into play. So it's maybe too much Americanization of football in this World Cup, because those are concepts we've seen in the US, in US sport, but not so much at the world level. But it looks like now the money is beginning to talk.
It's a Trump effect, probably. But anyway, that's a story for another day. I want us to focus on the listed impacts in terms of prolonged halftime break that has been listed by some of the experts. And I want you, Coach William, from a coach's perspective, to run us through some of those and the impact it might have on the players themselves. In a moment or two, we're going to look at them. But off the top of your head, when you heard 25 minutes as a coach, you're used to 15 minutes, and you're looking at some of those side effects. From a layman perspective, explain to us, you know, how, in a practical sense, this is going to affect the players potentially on Sunday.
Yeah, Isaac, when you play the first 45 minutes, you're given 15 minutes. Within the 15 minutes after the 45, depending on how the game was, if the game was so difficult, like you had a very difficult first half, you need like 7-8 minutes for a player to really calm down and be ready to even listen to the instructions for the second half. But imagine you have 25 minutes. You have 15 minutes to be quiet as a coach, and then you have 10 minutes to start. And 10 minutes is a lot of time to give instructions. You don't even have to, because the thing is, during the first half, as a coach, you're taking notes here and there. And then the second, when you reach the dressing room, you let the players relax. The doctors go around to check who's got a knock and here and there, that the ones that want to receive treatment. Then you give 7 minutes to the doctors, and then you have another 7 for yourself, or you give 10 minutes to the doctors, and you are 5 minutes because you already have the pointers. You already have the information that you want to give to the players. And for the players themselves, after that, the body now is getting ready, psychologically, they're now thinking that they're supposed to go back and apply whatever the coach advised. But 25 minutes by the time it's 20 minutes, the body is going back to zero. Like when they say muscle stiffness and these things, the muscle gets cold completely.
What's the risk of that? Do we see potentially more injuries?
You put players in a place where they're prone to getting injured, and muscle injuries, like the muscle muscles, like hamstrings, calves, and the quads and these things. So again, it also it also changes the plan of the coach. It means that they instead of doing the normal routine pre-second half warm-up, usually it's not even warm-up, it's like just you move the body just to get ready for because the body is in motion. 15 minutes is not a lot of time that the body loses momentum, like Ponga's has mentioned. The players don't really lose momentum. Even the blood still runs within 15 minutes.
I'm going to come to you, Ponga, about the revenue, but I want to ask William, this prolonged break, let's put it that way, are we at risk of overcoaching? Because, we already have the mandatory hydration breaks. We know that coaches take advantage of that in between matches, and then now you've got another 25 minutes. Are we at risk because of these mandatory breaks that are happening in the game now of overcoaching or overloading players with tactical information, and that could even sometimes disrupt or even confuse the players themselves of the game plan that is supposed to be executed?
Not really. I think the coach that has a plan, they don't really have they don't really have a lot of information to give to players. Because you already had a plan. You did your training on the pitch. You did your trainings on the pitch. The players already know what to do. And usually, if you are going to give other tactical information, it's just based on what you saw the other team is doing. But for me, the danger is always just going to go back to the one that is going to be supposed to be doing the job. It's going back to the player. The players are the ones, because believe me, players are bored. Players, they want, when you're a football player, you want you want the action. You don't want to sit. You don't want to wait. You want the action continuously. You want to keep the momentum. If you are low, you are down. You want to gain the momentum. So, for me, the only people who are going to get ahead in this setup, in this system, are the players themselves. So the coaches themselves, for sure they love the stoppage, because they always have an opportunity to get the information to the players that they cannot usually get to the players when the game is in motion. So for the coach, I don't think it's a problem, but the main player is the one that is going to suffer the most.
Okay. Let's take a look at the revenue that FIFA potentially is going to get. And I'm coming to you, Ponga, on this particular aspect. Highlighted there in the red, the halftime show direct revenue for FIFA is at 100 million. That's the estimated amount that FIFA is hoping to generate. They're saying that they're going to use some of that money and donate it to charity in terms of an education fund. Really, does this justify this halftime break when they phrase it like it's a way of FIFA trying to generate money so that they can help children around the world to have an education?
I think it's an excuse to justify putting in a break there because, you're interrupting and disrupting play, and it has consequences for players. The fact that their bodies will cool down, I think that hasn't really been considered that much.
Yeah.
Maybe when the injury rates go up, then people will talk about it more, but I feel the charity is really just trying to justify having an extra break in the program.
Let me borrow your term, justification, because we know that the International Football Association board, IFAB, which makes the rules for football to be played, they have continuously stressed that the halftime break should not exceed 15 minutes. By breaking that rule, are we setting a dangerous precedent?
Yeah, now decisions are being made in the boardroom and the technical people are being ignored, which is never the way it should be. So we saw a case where a player suspended was reversed, and now we're seeing more boardroom decisions having an impact on the actual game itself, and this is a similar situation.
Okay, let me get your verdicts, both of you. I'm getting the undertone that both of you don't like it. Is it safe to say that you're not in favor of this prolonged 25-minute halftime break in the final of the World Cup?
Yeah, I think I'm not. For me, as anything that puts a player, in a position of getting injured, I wouldn't support it, because every coach wants players available. So, and this player, we know these players they have a lot of games in their legs. They've from clubs to national teams, and you also you have to think about them. People say, no, they get paid a lot of money, this and that, but these are human beings, and they need to be considered when making these decisions. Otherwise, for me, it's something that I think is like football now is changing. Some of these decisions are being made, like Ponga has put it. And we need people that are really directly involved in football, that spend time with these players, have spent time before, spend time with these players. They knows the mechanism of how these players' bodies operates and these things, to be part of these kind of decisions. Otherwise, it's a very disappointing thing to do.
Okay, Ponga, as we put our topic to bed, I'm going to ask you the fact that FIFA have been talking about this World Cup being the biggest in terms of the monies that they've raised from this particular tournament. And their justification is that the more they make, the more they can, distribute amongst the member associations, which translates into developmental programs and so on and so forth. But considering that FIFA are making so much money, is this something that you expect in subsequent, tournaments, that it might continue?
Yeah, I think once you set the ball rolling with certain types of decision, there's very little to stand in the way of such decisions being made for other football events, and at the expense of the players or the guys who are actually on the pitch. And I think that shows again that that's the direction things will be pointing towards moving forward.
On the field of play today, it's the day of reckoning for Argentina and, of course, England in the second semi-final at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Let's begin our preview of that match by looking at Argentina's road to the semi-final. Coach William, they started off on a shaky note with that 0-0. Argentina really... not really shaking, or let me put it this way. They were convincing in the beginning of this particular tournament in terms of the group. But when you look at the results in terms of the round of 32, the round of 16, and of course the quarterfinal, they've conceded in all those matches. Surely the defense that's leaking in goals, it must be a concern for Coach Scaloni.
Yeah, I think in the group stages, Argentina, for me, they're very solid. They're a team that when I watched them, I said, okay, they are going all the way to the finals. But come the round of 32 and the round of 16, I think these two rounds, I think these are the games that I started to question. If you look at the age, that the average age of Argentina, I think it tells you a lot why why in the last games they started to concede goals and like easy goals and these things. My analysis is that I think because of most of the players are older, I think the fatigue clipped in, and also you could see that they're a bit tired. They are not compact anymore. They looked open a lot of times in these games against Morocco and against
Egypt.
Against Egypt, they looked really against
Egypt and Cape Verde.
Egypt and Cape Verde. Yeah. They looked really, really open, and after this, you say this, they're going to concede.
Okay, Ponga, I'm going to ask your thoughts on England's road to the semi-final. Many people talking about the fact that they were convincing not really convincing, but managed to score 4 times. in their opening encounter against Croatia. But they've been inconsistent because they failed to find the back of the net against Ghana. And they've really had to dig deep to get victories over the Congo DR. And of course, they had to endure the trip to Mexico and the Azteca Stadium. And they needed extra time against Norway. What do you make of their run? Has it been convincing in your perspective to get to the last four?
Well, it hasn't been a smooth run. And I think I was looking at some literature that was talking about how they've got this far without really convincingly playing well. So I think they dig deep, being English people, that when things get tough, they grit their teeth and give everything they have to offer, but they haven't had the plain sailing or the smooth path of a team that is playing very, very well.
Okay.
They've battled their way to get to this point in time.
Coach William, let me get your thoughts, because everybody's talking about this duo of Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham. And when you look at the official statistics in terms of this particular World Cup, you will notice that they've scored 13 times. 12 of those goals have been scored by these two. Is there a sense of over-reliance on these two, players? And when they don't come to the party, that could be the undoing of this English side.
No, I think they had to, these like Kane and Bellingham right now, I believe that they had to, they had to raise their standards because like Ponga has put it, England haven't really played the football that we expected them to play. They haven't really, it hasn't really been, smooth in the way they win games. Most of the games that they won is like scrappy and won. And I think if you are not really convincing in the way you play, you need to have players that can stand up and say, I'm going to grab a victory for the team. And they should be very fortunate that they have players like Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane that can do those things for them. They have a few players that can do that. And I think that's the only thing that they need right now. I don't think they should change anything. All they have to do is more star players that they have in their squad should stand up and also take responsibility and try and, win their national team games.
Okay. Ponga, if you actually notice the way the Argentines traditionally play, they're very physical in their approach. And I'm not saying that they're going to approach this match with a cynical kind of perspective, but it's been known in the past that some of these teams will just look at the team and he goes off with an injury.
And Argentina that are still on the table, even so many things spill over.
Hopefully we have another hand of God and VAR doesn't pick it up. But I guess with technology today, maybe that is not possible. Let's focus a little bit more on Argentina. And obviously the big question is Messi. Let's look at one particular statistic that caught my attention as, I was preparing, for this particular program. In the last to either score or assist in a match was on November 30th, 2022 against Poland at the World Cup. I want to get your thoughts. How do England go about trying to stop Lionel Messi? Because he seems like he's a train that consistently is producing for this Argentine side.
Well, I think England, one thing I've learned about the Argentinian squad is that each player, apart from Messi, plays for Messi. They give everything for him. They fight for him. So when you play as an opposing team playing against Messi, making a plan on how to stop Messi, for me is like an impossible assignment. It's like an impossible assignment. So England should just focus on trying to close Argentina tactically as a unit, as a squad, as a team. The Argentina are not really a team that are also, they have better ball retention. I don't think they keep the ball that well. They play a bit direct.
Yeah.
So is England in this tournament. They haven't really, so I think they should not be worried about, they should focus mainly on trying to score as early as possible. And because the best that England can do is to put pressure on Argentina. Score. If they score early, maybe get two quick goals, which are not even easy to score. If they get 2 easy goals, they put pressure on Argentina. Messi's under pressure. I know he's pressure. He plays even better when he's under pressure. But my point is, if they can get like 2 early goals, and then for me that is the best defense they can make against Messi and Argentina, is to try and score early, and then the team that is under pressure usually is rushing decisions. The time is going. So there's no plan of defending Messi, but the truth is that there's always a plan of defending Argentina. They should make a plan of just defending Argentina.
Okay, Ponga, if you were the coach Thomas Tuchel today, you've got a dilemma in terms of a decision to make, because O'Reilly has played consistently at left back. We know Messi is playing on the right-hand side of that Argentine, attack, normally trying to cut onto the left-hand side. O'Reilly is left-footed, but he was substituted in the previous encounter against Norway for Jed Spence. And we know that Messi tries to cut inside. Do you start with Jed Spence, who's right-footed, because when he cuts inside, it's on the stronger side, or do you start with O'Reilly, who's left-footed, and potentially Messi can cut inside, and that's his weaker side?
Yeah, difficult one for any coach to make a decision. But I think what the players have shown in training is what will determine who he chooses to start with. And I did see some criticism on Spence a little bit earlier in the tournament.
Yeah.
About his performance. I saw Tuchel shouting at him a couple of times as well in one of the games.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if he may be the preferred option. But I think maybe he will go the safer option, which has been O'Reilly all along.
Okay. Yeah. And on the other side of defense, he's got also another headache, because his regular starter, Reece James, has been injured for quite some time. Yes, he came on as a substitute in their last match against Norway. Does he risk him to start in this particular encounter?
I think, again, he's been out for a while. So how has he responded in training? I think those are the critical factors in the decision-making of Thomas Tuchel. If he has been able to stand up to training and deliver, I think he may still have him as an option to start.
Okay. Let's look at the overall head-to-head statistics, because there lies a story that many people might not know, because it's the English who are bossing it from that perspective, but it's the Argentines in friendly matches. Do they have the psychological, ability to perform in the matches that are competitive, that matter the most, to get a victory against this Argentine side, because they've been grinding out results as well?
Well, I think England, the type of games that they won, whether it was in a competition or in a friendly game, but what matters right now is their journey to this stage. So they'll feel really confident about themselves. They will have the belief that they can do this even now in the competition, because they've overcome, they've won very crucial games in the round of 32, in the round of 16, and in the quarterfinals. So I think they're not going to think about the games that they maybe won against Argentina in friendly games. They'll be drawing their confidence, from the games that they've just recently won, that have put them into this state. So, yeah, I think they have the mental, capacity to overcome Argentina. I think most that have played plays in the Premier League.
Yeah.
We all know that the Premier League has got games that have been won in 97th minute. This tells you a lot about the caliber of the league, and also the type of players that are plays in that league. It shows that there is a lot of resilience, that these are players that are ready to fight to the end. So I think they're in a position to even make an upset.
Ponga, when you look at the history of this particular, fixture, one particular, match, the 1986 match, really stands out. But from a historical perspective, why do you think Argentina in recent times, after that particular World Cup, they had, of course, not such a good moment with Diego Simeone and Beckham in the red card. But in the 4 years later in South Korea and in Japan, they managed to redeem themselves by getting that goal by David Beckham and win the match by a 0-0. And in the recent meeting between the two sides, they managed to win it by a 3-2, scoreline. Why is it so important that they always reflect on what transpired in 1986?
I think 86 was one of the key highlight moments of a World Cup, any World Cup.
Yeah.
The second goal by Maradona showed you what an individual player of highest quality in the world can do. And I think Messi is a player who has shown that he has those capabilities, act of individual brilliance. And I think that's the same with 1986.
Okay.
When Argentina beat England in that game. So I think that is something that will be in the back of people's minds. Messi himself will say, if I have the opportunity, if it has to rely on me to do it, I'll give everything I have. And then there's also the sentimental, looking back and saying, oh, they scored a handball or they didn't give it to us. So that game will always be in people's minds.
Yeah.
And even today, it's going to be something that will be in the top of the minds. I'm sure the commentators will mention something about the history and the past.
We're in the dying moments, but I have to get your thoughts on this particular man, because Geoff Hurst, historically, the man who scored a hat-trick for England in the 1966 World Cup. He's been talking about this particular match. He says it's a big day for England. I really believe we can do it tonight. Kane, Bellingham, Rice, all world class. Fingers crossed. Good luck for tonight, boys. It's time to win this thing again. Come on, boys. When you hear a legend of the game talk like that, does that put extra pressure on this England squad? Because every single time they go to the World Cup, apparently it's coming home, and it hasn't come home for 60 years.
Yeah, I don't think the words of Geoff Hurst would be something that will put pressure on them. I think the occasion itself is something that stands on its own feet. As this is a World Cup semi-final. It's our chance to get to the final. And since 66, we've never been there. This is our one chance. If we lose it, it's gone for I don't know how long.
Okay.
So I think that's more of a motivational factor than the words of anyone who played previously.
Ponga says it's a motivation factor, but is it also carrying the burden of history from a tactical perspective, coach? Because this is probably the biggest match of these English players' lives, considering that it's 60 years they haven't been in the final, and they're playing to get to the promised line, so to speak, for the first time in 60 years.
Yeah, I think for the players, they have a chance. The game itself, like Ponga has said, is a motivation for them. I don't think there's even any player that is even looking at whose legend has said anything, because for them right now, each player understands the assignment, each player understands how important this is. All of the players in this English squad know the history. They know how long it has taken them. So obviously football comes with the pressure, but the pressure, or if the pressure is translated into the motivation, a lot of times it gives you results. So I think most of these English players today, they are really motivated to try and change the course of history. And every player, I think, psychologically, it is always a dream for a player, to step on the pitch and make history. And you have a chance to make history. It's not like you have 2-3 games until you can make history. You have 90 plus minutes to make history. So just the game itself for me is a motivation for each one of them.
Okay. I know time is not our best ally, but this is the best time of the show, because I get to ask you predictions and I don't get to predict anything because I'm the presenter. What's your prediction, England versus Argentina?
It's going to be a very tight, tough game. I think I've changed my mind. I'll give it to England. I wanted to give it to Argentina, but I'll give it to England.
Regulation time? Or
ET, I think, extra time.
Extra time. It's not going to
because
penalties.
I see it's a very difficult game. I can see both teams, the kind of football that they've played throughout the tournament. I see both teams that they're a bit stronger in terms of physicality, if they go punch for punch. Individuality, I think England has got an edge because of it's going to be a tight game, but I give
extra
it to
time,
England.
2-1, 1-1?
2-1.
2-1. It's not going to penalties.
No penalties.
Okay, Ponga, I know both sides, to get to this particular stage, their last match, they needed extra time to beat their opponents. Will that have a bearing on today's encounter as you give me your prediction?
My prediction is 2-1 to Argentina.
Okay. I love this.
Whether it's in 90 minutes or 120 minutes, but I think we will not have to rely on a penalty shootout.
Okay.
I think it will be resolved within normal regulation playing
With
time.
the fact that Argentina have got, well, old legs in their ranks, and the fact that they had 3 days ago to play extra
You wanted
time.
a prediction.
Yes.
What are you doing?
No, but I'm just asking because I asked a two-pronged question. I asked
I
if
think-
it's going to have a bearing today.
I don't think that much of a bearing because it's a one-off occasion. It's a special occasion. You know, any fatigue you're carrying, you run through it and you fight through it and you give everything you've got, irrespective of how tired you feel.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure doing business with both of you, Ponga Liwewe and, of course, William Jovu. Ponga going for an Argentine win in extra time. William going for an England win in extra time. I can tell you my prediction. I'll be back on Saturday at 16 hours as your host, Isaac Chipatanga, on another edition